Good morning, Quadcopter 101. And what I got for you today is another beginner's aircraft. I'm trying to limit the aircraft that I'm testing mainly to beginner and intermediate pilots. It's mainly these videos are aimed at quadcopter pilots who wish to transition, to try out fixed wing aircraft. It's not too hard to do. It's really not too hard to transition to these if you know how to fly a quadcopter. Because the controls are very similar and the way they operate are very similar. This one here is the HF-120, and if you look at it by design, you can say, yeah, this one's mainly intended for being flown indoors. Extremely lightweight, foam wings, foam tail, and all in all, in the wind, this would be difficult to fly. But outdoors on a relatively breezeless day like today, or indoors, this would be an excellent flyer. Low and slow flyer, although you could probably send it up high, since I believe the range on this is out to 150 meters. We'll find that out here shortly. Anyways, it's a simple little brush motor aircraft with gear reduction. Again, it's intended for a very slow flying. It is a 3-channel aircraft, so that you can actually control throttle and the rudder and the elevator on this particular aircraft. And we got some wind picking up here, so we'll see how well it actually performs. The battery that's used for this is a simple little 200 milliamp hour 3.7 volt battery with very common MCPX. I believe uses this blade, MCPX. WL Toys, smaller quadcopters uses this particular type of connector, and these batteries are widely available, so you'll be able to find a bunch of these to keep you flying. Additionally, let's go over the controls real quick. It's very simple controls. You have throttle, you don't have yaw, but you do have rudder, and the rudder is over here now, and you do have pitch. So it's rudder and pitch and throttle. Since this is a 3-channel aircraft, the rudder is over here on the right stick, not on the left stick. The other controls you got here, you can turn the LEDs on and off on this by pressing this button here. This actually does not have LEDs on it, so I don't know what they're talking about here, and besides, this button's inoperative. But you can change the rates on this to increase the rudder pitch, or rudder and elevator pitches or angles by pressing this button here. And this is pitch control, and this is rudder trim control, pitch trim control, rudder trim control, and you have throttle. No, you don't. These buttons are all inoperative, so you don't have any trim over here. They're just for, every one of these buttons is for show. They're not operative. Okay, let's put the battery in this and fire it up. So I'm going to insert the battery into the battery holder in the back of this to activate it. Three, two, one. Okay, it took a little bit of wiggling, but I finally got that battery in there, so we should be good there. I'm going to turn on the transmitter, and this bind, this is being a toy grade. You turn on the quadcopter, or the airplane first, and then the transmitter, and bind it. Okay, we got throttle. Let me check the elevator. We got elevator, there's the elevator, and we got rudder. So we're ready to go. Let's take it to the air. Hope you enjoy this flight. Throttle. Well, I can see right away we need a little bit of trim. Downward trim. There we go. Wow. That was trimmed way. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. This thing really overcorrects. Okay, cutting it down. We're going to go over and get it and try it again. But did you see that? There's so much lift in that wing. That thing was taking off into the sky. Additionally, these controls are highly overcorrective. I might be in high rate, folks. I'll see if I can set it to a lower rate. Okay, I'm going to press that rate button. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I pressed the rate button. Let's see if that helps correct it. I am going to need to trim this slightly upward. Let's go try it again. Okay, I'm keeping the throttle real low on this. It wants to climb so badly with very little throttle at all. So keep that in mind, folks. You fly this, you don't need much throttle. It just climbs, climbs, climbs. Let me pitch it down a bit and get it away from the sun too. There we go. Cutting back on the throttle even more. A little more throttle. So yeah. Oh, I don't recommend using any elevator control at all in this. And it stalls pretty easily too. Let's try that again. This is an interesting aircraft in that it has amazing lift to it. Just incredible amount of lift on that wing with that little, with a little bit of throttle on it. Let's try that again. Taking off. Oh, why is it pitching down? Let's try upward trim. Cutting back on that throttle. Cutting back more on the throttle. Cutting back more on the throttle. Cutting back more on the throttle. Let's try leftward trim on the rudder. Oh, I hardly got any throttle on this thing at all. Boy, if I got stuck in a thermal in this downward trim one. All right. Okay, it's up there now. Cutting back on the throttle even more. So just barely any throttle at all, and this thing takes to the sky. And yes, you need a windless day to fly this. You're just not going to be able to fly this in the wind. I'm gently trying to cut back on the throttle to bring it down to a lower altitude. That doesn't need any throttle at all. Okay, it's got a little bit of fugoid, so I'm going to give it a little bit of downward pitch or downward trim to get rid of the fugoid oscillation. And rightward trim. Okay, that seems to be trimmed up. So this one definitely needs to be trimmed to get it to fly right. And again, look at that throttle, just hardly any throttle at all on that. But it's keeping it up there. Very slow flyer, folks. Very slow. Let's see if I can cut back the throttle a little bit more. Just try to bring it down lower. Yeah, you have to have a windless day to fly this thing, or flying it in a gym. You know, this would fly in a gym. This is the battery and the power that's being applied to those propellers are not much more than that of what a rubber band would do. So, you know, you give this full power and that thing just stalls, well, actually climbs vertically. Trying to bring it back toward me now, overhead. Cutting back throttle even more. Gently cutting back the throttle. I don't want to cut off the throttle entirely. But look, folks, I'm about 10-20% throttle. And it's flying great. So, yeah, this, you know, I learned to fly on this one. It's be kind of difficult because it is a little bit touchy. But if you're an advanced pilot, or not advanced, intermediate pilot, who wants to play around in a gym or ride on a windless day with an aircraft that hardly requires any throttle at all to keep it in the air, that's this one. Give it a little more throttle up. Gently turning it toward me, back toward me. We're going to do a flyby here. Gently turning it, because again, it is a little bit twitchy. But I wonder how long of a flight we can get out of that battery. You know, a 200 milliamp per hour battery. Interesting little aircraft. Boy, if you get a thermal with this one, it's gone. I can't even hear that motor, hardly. It's so quiet. Again, it's spinning not much faster than what a rubber band aircraft would be spinning at. I'm trying to get it down lower, folks, without hitting the ground. Let's see if that does it. I lowered the throttle even more. Again, the range on this is predicted out to 150 meters. That's overkill on this, I think. You get out to 150 meters with this one. Again, if this got stuck in a thermal, it's going to blow away. So quiet. Let's cut back the throttle even more. 10% throttle, folks. You know, it's just, I can't understand how that stays up here like that. Cutting it back even more. I want to bring it down close to you so you can see it without hitting the ground. And I got other aircraft to fly here, so I don't want to be flying this for 20 minutes because I'll lose battery power on my camera. So we're not going to do that, folks. I'm not going to fly it till that battery dies, but I got a feeling this thing can go for like 20 minutes with that little battery. Let's make a little bit tighter turns. Maybe I can bring it down that way. Yeah. There we go. Let's straighten it out. Going back up again and give it a little more throttle. Little tiny little more throttle. Trying to bring it back overhead here. Boy, yeah. Again, if there was any wind at all, this thing would be bouncing around. This is mainly for indoors. Definitely indoor flyer. Again, the HF 120. Boy, with the way that the speed that that motor's running at, I can't see you even burning this motor out on this one. Well, I take that back. It does have gears, so there is a potential for gears. Well, I don't know how much longer I'm going to fly this, but dang, it's a little butterfly hovering up there in the air. Okay, yeah. Again, instead of reducing the throttle, you know, I'm just going to make harder turns to bring it down lower. That seems to lower its altitude there momentarily, so you can see it here. Again, lowering, you know, make a hard turn, and that drops its altitude a bit, so you can see it. So we'll do that. Maybe that battery's running out now. I'm increasing the throttle a bit. Oh, it's climbing like crazy when I increase the throttle a bit. But, okay. We're not going to run this for 20 minutes. We're going to bring it in for a landing. Because like I said, I got to fly some other aircraft here today. But that's the HF 120. Very gentle little airplane. You got to be very delicate with the controls on it, because it overcorrects easily. So that's why I say this is more for intermediate pilots. And you got to have more or less a windless day or flying inside a gym. So we're going to cut the throttle back and land it. Not going to run it till the battery dies. Although you can, it says it has battery protection, so it will shut down itself early. But cutting down the throttle and bringing it in, and there we go. So that's the HF-120 RC series. Top quality, or Top Qualifier is the name of the company that makes the HF-120. Very simple aircraft. Very light, ultra lightweight aircraft. Doesn't need much of a battery at all to power it. I think this could go for a good 20 minutes on that battery. So hope you enjoyed this flight. This is Quadcopter 101, signing out.